Hello everybody! It's time for a weekly wrap-up, though I hope to do this in record time because I read 6 books, but 4 of them I'll be discussing in other videos. So to start off with those really quickly, I read Gifts, Voices, and Powers by Ursula K. Guin. These are the 3 books of a young adult fantasy series called The Annals of the Western Shore, and I am doing an overview review video of the entire trilogy. I liked this series, though they are not anywhere near the top of my list of favorite things by Le Guin. The short version is that the first book was okay. I found it relatively unmoving even upon rereading it. It is the weakest, I think, and the simplest out of the series. I really enjoyed reading Voices. The plot, the characters, and the themes just really worked for me. And the third book, Powers, is predominantly about what slavery does to people. I found it very troubling and difficult to read because slavery is one of those things I just can't read about too often. So it was difficult to read, but ultimately rewarding. Powers is a Nebula Award winner, and the other book I read for my Hugo and Nebula Award winners reading project this week was Waystation by Clifford D. Simak. I will talk about this in more detail in my September wrap-up for Hugo and Nebula Award winners. However, I will say here that I was really surprised at how much I really liked this. This is from '64, I think, and I knew nothing about it going in. I'd never read anything by Simak before, and I was really impressed at the story, the character, the main character, and just the tone of the story. Next, I finally finished the Long Earth series by Stephen Baxter and Terry Pratchett with The Long Cosmos, which came out a couple of months ago. I really enjoyed the first book in this series called The Long Earth, and the premise is that humans discover on Step Day that using a little device or natural ability, they can step east or west into other versions of Earth where different things happen, evolution went different ways, and then it sets off this great exodus of migration of people everywhere. It is difficult to talk about the 5th book and the final book in the series without spoilers of any kind, so I'm going to take a direct approach. This series should have ended with book 3 as was the original plan. I understand that Baxter and Pratchett extended the series because they wanted to, but there is not enough story in this entire series, and the problem with this last book is that it's a repeat of everything that's happened before with no payoff, no real closure, and nothing exciting happens. Technically, they're contacted by aliens with a mysterious message, but do the aliens ever appear? I don't think I need to answer that because all I'm going to tell you is it was boring. On top of this, the characters are literally tired, old, and flat. This series has never had really in-depth characters. It has character types. People like Sally, who's cantankerous, and Lobsang, who's the AI and knows everything. And of course the main character, who is literally an old fart at this point. He's in his 70s, and his name is Joshua Valiente. He is fundamentally not a very interesting person. He's deeply introverted, he likes being alone, he's very steady, he wants to go off in the wilderness and be alone for long stretches of time. That's it. 5 books with him as a main character. I like him as a personality type because I appreciate people like that. I'm a little bit like him. But it doesn't sustain a story very well. Anyway, that was a bit more ranty than I intended it to be. Mostly I'm disappointed in the overall arc of the series. This book wasn't that good. I think people should read the first book and just leave it there because the first book was really awesome and I love the idea of the Long Earth itself. I want to take a step into another world, go into a pristine wilderness and be completely alone with no governments meddling in my stuff and no people polluting the environment. I just want to go there. A lot of people want to go there. That's the entire basis of this series. But you have to have something more happening, or you have to go into a broader or deeper, more intellectual discussion about what this means. And the series never fully goes there. And the final thing is Catseye by Norton. This is a science fiction novel from the 60s. It's very action-adventure. It's about the exotic animal trade on another planet, and a man who's actually kind of a refugee who gets a job in this pet shop and comes in contact with Terran animals who may have psychic abilities, and then that's part of a greater conspiracy plot thing, and eventually his life is in danger and he's trying to help animals, and of course there are ancient alien runes and a terrible danger. It was fun, but nothing amazing, I guess. It's really old sci-fi, and it reminds me of standard boys' adventure tropes from like the 50s and 60s. Even though Andre Norton is a woman, all the characters here are male, and it feels like it's written to a very young, very male audience. Not a bad thing at all. I think it's actually an interesting peek into older sci-fi, and I just read it for the hell of it, but it was just fun. I have to admit, the thing that just made me roll my eyes a little bit, and it's a little unfair to the book because it is old, but one of the honorifics for men is literally gentle homo. I know it's not intended that way, but that term has connotations, and it was kind of funny. According to a review I read on Goodreads, this is a book that some people read like a queer or homosexual subtext to it. I don't think it is at all, but I can understand why people might think that. Anyway, Catseye by Andre Norton. That's what I read this past week, and more videos about some of these books will be forthcoming. And now on to what I'm currently reading. I have started Crosstalk by Connie Willis. This is her new comedy romance sci-fi novel. It's coming out in a week or two, and I have an e-arc from NetGalley that I really need to get through. I read the first couple of chapters last night, and so far I can say it is very Connie Willis. I have also started Words Are My Matter by Ursula K. Guin. This is her new collection. This is the dust jacket, because I'm too lazy to go in the other room and get the actual book, but this is the cover of it. This is writings about life and books from 2000 to 2016. It does have some essays in it, some talks, but mostly it's introductions to other books that she wrote for like favorite authors and book reviews, and so far I'm also really liking this. I just really enjoy reading Le Guin's thoughts on SFF related stuff and her critical commentary on things. And this coming week I will definitely be reading Startide Rising by David Brin. I have started this. I got halfway through the first chapter and then I put it down to go read Le Guin. So I will be reading this coming week. I think I might be buddy reading it with Amanda from A Scientist Reads, so that should be fun. This is the last joint winner of the Hugo and Nebula Awards that I have to read, so it'll be good to cross this off of my list. And that's it. That's what I'm currently reading. That's what I read this past week. If you've read any of these and you want to talk to me about them, please comment down below, and I'll be back in my next video, whichever one that will be, very soon. And until then, bye.